Hello, Culture Matters podcast. I am excited to talk today about something I've been working on personally to develop and become more um, educated, aware, powerful, competent, not just reading books, not just writing letters, writing analyses for our client partners, our new book that's coming out, and all of the things that I talk about and have talked about for years now on the show. Read to think, write to develop, listen to hear what is unsaid, speak to let go. I'm out of breath a little. I just did some push-ups. That's another thing I've been doing to work on myself. And before these podcasts, do 20 push-ups. So sorry for the breathing. But something I've been doing that I want to talk about and share with you is this Peterson Academy. You may have heard about it, seen different views. Some critical based on, macro things that I don't think are as relevant to this conversation. You may have heard amazing things about it. I want to share with you where I'm at with the Peterson Academy, why I'm in it, why I'm excited about it, what it is to my knowledge, what I've learned about it. And maybe this leads you to explore it and to grow and become a better version of yourself. Because my guess would be that's what you're trying to do as you navigate business, life, the general world of culture through the Culture Matters podcast. I tell you, I am very much a supporter of learning and excited to be able to share what I've learned from the Peterson, well, from the teachers within this college, because it's an online college. I believe the mission is to democratize education, maybe not verbatim, but in essence, I've showed the Peterson Academy to a handful of people, and they're thinking, what is that, $5,000, $10,000? No, it's 500 bucks for the year to be a part of this thing. And I think you'll be really surprised by that number after we talk about it a little bit. So I'm very proudly was one of the first, to my knowledge, 30,000 members or investor, students in this college, which as of this recording, it's been live 64 days, September 9th. The first few days, I wasn't sure what type of investment I was going to put as far as time running a company. Um, we do work every day. I would live by that adage. You want to get something done, you give it to the busiest person. But how was I going to put another thing on my plate? I'm already reading to think. I'm already writing to develop. I'm already, just this week, I recorded 33 podcasts. This will be number 34 in the first 12 days of November. I say that to express how much is already on my plate. Maybe you can empathize with that with your own responsibilities that you have with kids, or maybe you're taking care of parents, or maybe you're already in college, or maybe you have multiple businesses, or maybe you work more than full time for a boss that you dislike, or maybe you love what you do and you're spread thin because you have other responsibilities. And when are you going to have extra time to learn and take a course? And why would you want to take a course or a college or anything like that? I can speak, I'll speak for myself. I want to know. I want to know. And I want to know if I'm fit, having not gone the formal education route in my life, that I want to say not an opportunity. It wasn't something I even recognized as important until I started. The more deep that I got into business, and the more that we grew as a firm, and the more entrenched we become in amazing businesses that are growing and have been growing, and we've worked through the ups and downs of businesses over the last 10 years, the more I've become a believer in education, both formal and informal. It doesn't have to be an either or. So I'm interested in the Peterson Academy because I'm getting an opportunity to be in front of great teachers, people that have dedicated their lives to a specific subject matter. Now, in this college, this online college, it's broken down into, and I'm going to pull up for the YouTubers my screen share and actually show you in a second here. But right now, as of September 9th, they had 18 courses live. It's been live for 64 days. Each course is comprised of roughly 8 lectures. They're between 45 minutes and an hour and 12, the longest one I saw. I have not been through all of them or looked at all of them in deep. And I'll talk about my experience and what's worked for me with my responsibilities that I have to our client partners, to our employees, to our advisors, to my interpersonal relationship. Like we all have things on our plate that could stop us from investing and learning and putting another thing to learn and to get better. And I'll talk about what's worked for me as far as getting through this academy because I feel pretty good about how I've been going through it, and maybe some of those lessons will be helpful to you. But it's comprised of eight. So there's 20. There was 18 courses to begin with, and the goal, according to the Peterson Academy, is to release one new course three new courses every month. How often those go out is kind of sporadic. It's still in the beta form. It could be two pretty quickly, as far as I saw. That's because there's been four new ones since inception. It's about been out 64 days, so already it seems like they're a little behind actually on releasing, unless it's just falling on a weird day when I'm recording this and they're about to catch up in the next week, which could happen. But the point is, there's 18 courses. I'm gonna pull a screen share here. There, there's a wide range of course uh, course types, I guess you could say. So if I go to home, if you're looking this on YouTube, you're going to see the brand new course that just came out is with Dr. Keith Campbell, and it's on narcissism. Oh my God, this is a fascinating course, and I'm pretty sure they go into even our current issues of our time around pop culture with like social media usage and so on and so forth. I have not taken my first quiz on this narcissism. I did watch it once, but I ended up moving to another course called The Great Leaders. I'll show you. And I'm going to finish that. I'm halfway through, and I'm going to finish that before I go and laser in on the narcissist course. That was more of someone I'm very close with was in there, so I wanted to take that course alongside of them. There's a huge social aspect to it. If you're watching this on YouTube, the actual homepage is pretty simple. You have a homepage which shows all courses available. You have a social aspect that if I click that, there's all these amazing people. I mean, I'm giving them, I don't know if they're all amazing, but there's all these people that are sharing information, like a news feed, that are all in this academy. So there is that alumni factor, or there's that community factor that I think I have not tapped into personally. I have 0 followers. I'm not following anyone. I haven't posted anything yet. I'm just focusing 100% on my education. So I'm looking at the home. So you have home, social, my courses. You could track your courses, bookmarks. I haven't bookmarked anything. I haven't taken any notes. I'm treating this just like I did middle school and high school. Well, more high school, because middle school, I think actually I did take notes. I'm not yet ready to take notes. That's where I'm at emotionally and psychologically as it relates to college. I'm just watching the lectures, but I am taking the quizzes. And so anyway, at the homepage, each one of these courses is about 8 or 9 hours long. There's 8 videos, so I click on some of them. I'm sorry, some have 6 videos, some have 8 videos or 9 videos. Well, I shouldn't say videos, lectures. When I actually click one of these lectures, click Sermon on the Mount, there's a trailer. And if you actually, I won't show it, but if you click, there's a real, I'll just lower the volume. I don't want to hack their stuff. There's a real, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's an actual group of students in this room. So between the AI production quality, the quality of the professors, it's captivating. It'll keep your attention. Um, it'll maintain your attention. Of course, that's where it goes back to why bother with this in the first place. Because I tell you, if you're not interested in paying attention, then it's not going to keep your attention. But as far as quality goes, and the quality of the professors from all sorts of these big institutions I wouldn't otherwise have access to, you may not have access to, they're all aggregated in this online university. The courses are ranging from, I'll show you which ones I've taken, but nutrition to philosophy, political science. Um, the boy crisis is like family affairs and So psychology, there's psychology courses. I mentioned the intro to psychology, Christianity courses, symbolism, deconstructing decolonization with Nigel Bigger, Shakespeare, neuroscience, economics, cosmology. There's religion and music. It's a variety of evolutionary inference with Brett Weinstein. You may have even seen some of these pundits, like Stephen C. Hicks has amazing books on postmodernism. He's got a class on modernism. If I click one of these courses, it actually recommends books. It didn't do that in the beginning, unless I wasn't paying attention, which is a possibility. But there's 3 book recommendations per class. So I already, of course, created a whole wish list of books, and we're buying all the books. So if there's 22, there's 66 recommendations. I love book recommendations. So just the book recommendations alone are worth it. Here's my one course I took on modernism. I think I got an A minus. Yeah, I got. So I'm taking the quizzes. I got 100, 180, 180, and 80, and 180. Not as good as I would have liked to. I've failed some, not failed. I've gotten some D's and C's on quizzes. You got to pay attention. It's, I don't, I'm not speaking from experience. I did not go to college. So I've not been in a college classroom. So please keep that in mind when you hear my testimony. However, it's definitely not a breeze. Although I haven't been taking notes, I'm not, I'm scoring uh, reasonably on these quizzes. They're not easy. I'm paying attention. I'm watching the lecture twice. I do believe there's a connection between how many times I watch the lecture and if I'm doing other things, or actually like really looking at the teacher and listening to them. I have the subtitles going. You can adjust the speeds. You can actually make it 1.25 speed. I should click on one of these and show you. And you can actually make them go faster. Um,
So we need to grow up.
you could make them speak faster. I don't know if I could.
Now,
I don't want to get like canceled on this podcast if I show their stuff. So, but if you're watching on YouTube, there's a speed. You can make it 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, 2.0. You can make them talk faster. I've played it on 2.0, and you can hear it after you get used to it. And one thing I was doing, because I wanted to just get through the quizzes and really test myself, I'll watch it at 1.25. Um, and then the second go around, I'll play it on 2.0, and then I'll take the quiz. And I was scoring well. I mean, not as well as I'd like, because I'd like to get 100 on everything. But so far, I've been in it 64 days. I finished 8 courses out of 22. I'm halfway through my ninth. And if you work out the math, that's basically one. I'm not counting the ninth one, but the 8 courses in 64 days. It was every 8 days I'm finishing a course. Now that's while running, that's while working every day, all day, and ultimately watching. I mean, there was a week where we were in Vegas, and Brad went away for a few days, and I got like 3 courses done among other activities I had to do. So am I doing it every night? The goal is to do one quiz a night. Some days I might do 3, some days I might do 1. It really depends on what, like anybody, what's on our plate here. So, it, you know, where is this testimony going? Well, I want to share something that I'm passionate about. I am a raving fan of this academy. It's stimulating. I'm learning things. I'm concreting things I've already read and talked about. Yeah, I didn't show my different courses. So I've taken the postmodern course with Stephen Hicks, the philosophy modernism course with Stephen Hicks, the Sermon on the Mount with Peterson. I got a 95 on that. I was upset. I got 2 questions wrong, which is annoying because one I genuinely didn't know. The other one I was like, that's one thing I learned doing this is don't second guess your intuition. Like I'm talking to myself now. If I changed every time I change my answer, it's wrong. So that's an interesting psychological occurrence. Um, Also took the deconstructing decolonization. I wasn't I didn't really care about that topic whatsoever. That's the thing. If I don't care about the topic, I'm not doing very well. Got a C plus in that class. Boring to me. To me. Um, although the audiobook is a good book by Nigel Bigger. It's if you care about these bigger issues of the world, which culture matters, right? There was interesting information in that. Just, if I'm not interested, I'll score lower. I just kind of my mind wanders and I go off to somewhere else, and then I'll just, guess through the test. And why not? Just I would challenge you to take the quizzes because I think why bother if we're not going to take the quizzes? The greatest leaders in history, I've already learned about Napoleon and Caesar, things I never knew about them. I had an epiphany yesterday from Napoleon. He wrote 33,000 letters in 10 years. Wow. He would take baths. This is funny because Brad would always tease me about taking baths and reading and whatnot. Well, I learned this yesterday, actually, in the Greatest Leaders in History course, which talks about Churchill and Caesar and Pericles and Napoleon. That's what I'm up to. And Marshall, some guy I never heard of, some captain I never heard of, and the commonalities of their leadership. One of the things I learned about Napoleon and Churchill both took baths constantly, and they would have their assistants dictate. Churchill wrote 37 books, 800 plus articles. Napoleon was a brilliant writer. He was a terrible speaker. Unlike Pericles, who could speak, I believe, and Caesar, who was able to speak very well. And of course, Churchill did 56 radio broadcasts. Churchill was a man of destiny. He I think he was 16 or he was a teenager when he said to a friend that he was going to save the world, essentially. I mean, I'm summarizing, but he said there's going to be a great conflict and I'm going to take part in solving it. It's like, whoa, what are the odds that I think 50 years later, he ended up doing just that? Um, it talks, so back to Napoleon, 33,000 letters. Now I write letters to people I care about. So when hearing, and I do them at all sorts of times of the day and night on planes, and I'm here thinking, wait a second, in 10 years, Napoleon, that means he did 3,300 a year. And that's what they know about him. So that's like just under 10 a day, eight and change a day. Like I could do more, and I have done more than that eight in a day. It's like, all right, if Napoleon can do it. And that's another interesting thing about in the last lecture about this. God, see, this is I think I got it. An A. It's funny because that's the one I scored the best, and I don't even remember the guy's name. And I got an A. So that'll show you, right, what these quizzes mean. But I want to share with you. I know I'm going into the weeds, but you know what? Hopefully my passion itself gets you to care about this. But so Nelson's navigation, yeah. So we delve into the leadership techniques, the essence of Horatio Nelson, focusing on his determined pursuit of decisive victory. So Horatio Nelson, in that lecture, I recall them saying that the great leaders study leaders and read history and use these other people to inspire them and anchor themselves into whatever they have to sacrifice and give up and work towards. And I was finding myself, don't feel like a great leader, but I'm finding myself doing just that with this Napoleon and Churchill both sharing this, that they both took lots of baths and wrote a tremendous amount of letters. And um, interesting that Churchill was a great, well, he was capable of speaking, and although he did have a lisp he had to overcome. And Napoleon was not a great speaker, but he did find his way to influence through writing and through propaganda and so on. So what is the Academy? The Academy is a collection of um, brilliant, but also passionate teachers like James Orr, Dr. Orr, I think James Orr, his class on Plato. Wow, that guy can really teach. Keith Campbell, he's funny, not too overbearing. He teaches psychology. Shout out to my buddy Brian Keating, who I haven't really dove into his course yet, but we followed each other on Instagram. He's amazing. He made cosmology interesting. I mean, I've always been interested in cosmology, but it's in the first lecture, it was clear he's making it fun and less intimidating because I mean, it's an intimidating topic. We're talking about the stars, the universe, the what have you. Rob Henderson has a class on what is it called? He has a book called Troubled. I really recommend. I got to stay back in this. Rob Henderson, I recommend getting his book called Troubled. It's about his life story. He has a class. I'll tell you, it's called The psychology of social status. Yeah, really, really, really fascinating. I didn't take the first quiz, but I did take the first lecture. One thing I have been doing is I popped around a little bit in the beginning, and then I just laser in on one course and I'll finish it before I go to the next one. But I popped around in the beginning, and then I just went bang, 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 just right through each one. So like Bishop Robert Barron, I loved that course on the Bible, God, humanity, got a 97. I was obsessed with that course. Introduction to Neuroscience, it really came naturally easy. That's probably why I was obsessed. Neuroscience with Dr. Baland Halal. I would follow him on Instagram. I'm excited to get in there. Eric Hoffman on political ideologies. Stephen Hicks is an amazing teacher. I love everything he does. I like to watch him on YouTube. He's a really, if you're interested in the macro, the world, what's happening in the world culturally, political, all of that, Stephen Hicks has studies all the philosophers and can make it digestible to what's happening in our world that's affecting our lives. So, what is the Academy? It's an aggregation of brilliant but also gifted teachers to give us insights into things we otherwise wouldn't experience for a few $100s a year. Their goal is to make an Ivy League education nothing. And three new courses a month. They started with 18. I'm finishing one every 8 days according to the math. Although I didn't really do anything for the first few weeks, although I had a login. The first course I took was the Introduction to Nietzsche and finished that pretty quickly, and then I just stopped doing everything. I stopped for about 3 weeks because I didn't want to take the quizzes. I started procrastinating because I didn't do well on the first. I got an 84 or 80 85 on the Nietzsche one. Or that's, I shouldn't say got, because it's not over. There's final exams that haven't been released yet. So you can get your GPA up. There's time to get your GPA up or destroy it. But at this point, I have an 85. And in the beginning, my insecurity was leading me to procrastinate because I was like, oh, I'm not really taking this that seriously. I don't want to get a bad grade. And then I just like stopped going in there. And that was not serving me. My ego essentially was not serving me. So I just decided I'm gonna prioritize an hour here or 90 minutes there, pay a little bit more attention, but also not take it so seriously. And of course, I just was less anxious, less insecure, and just started scoring well again. So, like I said, not taking any notes. So if you're one of if you're the type of person that doesn't feel confident in school, like I don't, you have a business, I do, we do, and you're working constantly. It's you don't have enough time. You don't want to get all involved. Just go for it because hopefully my example can show you that every 8 days you might finish the course, and through the course of a year, uh, you might end up accomplishing more than you might have finished almost finished the whole damn university in a year at that pace, a little bit less. So. Why was this created? There's an awesome YouTube video, Iced Coffee Hour, Jordan Peterson. I recommend listening to that YouTube. The Iced Coffee Hour, Jordan Peterson. They talk about the Peterson Academy at the end. And I got goosebumps really because he talked about having 100 million people, people that would otherwise not have ever experienced school on the university and giving gifted giving opportunity to those that are marginalized and have gifts, an opportunity to actually get experience to ideas that can help them improve and be better. But also the vision of this, as far as he articulated it, was to tee up the students with organizations that are less inclined to ideological, like to ideology or the macro kind of political world, and more interested in just creating value for shareholders, getting things done, building business, making, creating success for the people that work for companies. So he wants to tee up, connect the student to the companies, which is what universities are supposed to be doing today. And it's just that, of course, there's this differing of opinion of what children would benefit children, young adults would benefit from learning that Peterson Academy has. I'm less, I don't know. I'm not against formal education. Them right now we're in the work in the throes of getting involved with some universities. So I'm not against universities. I don't want that to come across that way. I want to be I want to get the benefit of all ideas and try to and separate the wheat from the chaff myself, as Peterson would say in the Sermon on the Mount. So I'm not against formal education at all, or the idea of going to colleges. I want to get near the professors. I want to learn from them. I want to meet people that are smart and driven and ambitious and can think and have, I want to climb the ladder. So it was created to make it affordable, to make it less ideological according to their view of macro human evolution and so on. And I'm using it. I'm I have my own goals. I want to finish the whole thing by Q1, in the beginning of Q1 by January. We'll see how that happens because I'm also recording 100 podcasts a month. Well, we'll see. I'm trying to do that this month to break myself. But 80 podcasts a month, 83 or what's among other things. Um I think it's awesome. I'm a student, and what's to come? There it looks like they're doing 3 a month. I don't know if this is true, but I got some article that said that if you finished 90 of these courses, it would be equivalent to a general education. Now, I don't know if that article was just making that up and they were kind of talking against the online academy, because clearly there aren't anywhere near 90. At the same time, begin with the end in mind. If I'm involved in this university on the side that's essentially almost free, um, with these unbelievable professors that were retained at these, Cambridge and Oxford and all the Harvard and all these universities, I'm getting so much value for next to nothing, only enough to just kind of, like Peterson said, make sure people that aren't serious at all or hecklers are kind of not going to pay $500 to do that. It's a huge value. It doesn't even make any sense. But now, is it accredited? So that's what the article is saying. It's not accredited. So it's not going to, get quote unquote me or you anything in that way. But from a psychological standpoint, I already feel more confident as a student, having, been left in my first high school and been asked to leave my second. I already feel and not having one of, a general education degree or anything of that nature, and being too busy to go back to college, too interested in becoming very successful from a financial standpoint, which we've accomplished. Like, school went to the bottom of the barrel because um, the last 13 years of my life, having left home at 18, has been focused on entrepreneurship, on making money, well, survival, and then success, and purgatory in between that. And now it's like, and I don't think I'm alone in this. I've interviewed obviously hundreds of CEOs and founders and so on. And a lot of them that become very, very successful that did not go to school, they tend to go and you pay hundreds of thousands to go to the universities to get closure ultimately on their ability to learn, as we all learn differently. So if you're one of those people, I'll say you might be able to save yourself some time and money by starting on the Peterson Academy. And I hope this tutorial testimonial, I think I covered everything I wanted to, has been helpful to you. It's definitely gone longer than I thought it would. Um, I don't know how many people are on it. I know I was one of the first. I'm sorry, I said 30,000. I was one of the first 12,000. There are over 30,000 on it now. I know a handful of people that are on it that none of them that I know took the quizzes other than one, and then they stopped, I think for similar reasons to me. It's who wants to get bad grades, or, the angst of that. But I would challenge you to just take the quizzes. I haven't started taking notes yet. I don't think that's a good thing. I think that shows a lack of attention, and it's something that I'm of the belief that as I go through this and it becomes harder, it will force me to mature in my executive, because that executives take notes. I mean, I take notes at work, and that's why I advise executives. The best executives take notes. The least effective ones don't. It's the founder doesn't, of course, because it's all intuitive, it's nuanced, it's irrational, it's a feeling, but an executive does. And if you're interested in becoming a chief executive like me, from a psychological education, self-awareness standpoint, then I would then taking notes is important. So I'm doing that in my business life. I'm not doing that in my school right now, and I'm getting by because frankly, I'm sure the real hard stuff hasn't started yet. So that already, just me even thinking this way is helping me mature as a human being, I would argue, and as a business professional, as an advisor to founders and CEOs, as the CEO of a business consulting firm that works in 8 states with regularity. Like I'm growing from the Peterson Academy, and it's making me excited at the idea that maybe I could, um, step into one of these institutions, um, the Cambridge or Oxford, and the places I want to see someday, and be in those libraries, and not feel like a loser. That would be, one that had lost the battle of ideas and the game of life as it relates to education, which is exactly how I have felt up to this point and still do. So, Peterson Academy, I'm not even going to talk about the money. Like, hey, you know what? Everybody's in a different place, so relative. $500 to you might feel like 500,000 or 50,000. Um, that's a personal choice. I think they even have tuition, uh, where you could tuition scholarship, where you can apply for scholarship if you have no money. For the $41 a month, 41.67 or whatever. Um, I would challenge you to do it. I'm excited. I'm a little annoyed that I haven't gotten more done in the last 2 weeks, or the last 12 days. Because, I really struggled with yeah, I did. Yeah. So 34 podcasts, not 33, 34 podcasts since November 1st, with on top of all the other things that have to be done. Um, I think 25 of them 26 were interviews, and it was 25 or 26 were interviews, and the others were like this. So my interviews great. These monologues I did less than I need to based on my goal. And so that's revealing. But at the same time, I was in the university less. Like in the last 12 days, all I've done really is watch that first narcissism course twice, didn't take the quiz, which is odd in reflection. And I've finished and quizzed. I have a really bad grade actually in the leadership. Got a really terrible grade on the first t test. I have like a 73. I'm halfway through, so I could get a higher grade, a B, probably a plus potentially, but unlikely. I don't think I'm gonna do it, But anyway, in the leadership, the greatest leaders. I've only taken four. I've watched four of them, and taken four quizzes in the last 12 days. So I barely did anything as it relates, right? Because 12 days, if my average was to finish a course every 8 days, I should be a course and a half through. But instead, I'm a half a course through. So I'm 300% less because I did so many interviews and so much other work. I'm 300% less in my average. But at the same time, I know I finished like 3 courses in 4 days when we were in Vegas. So it averages out at eight, a course every 8 days. But it's really like, Anyway, hopefully this is helpful to all of you. I'll see you in the Peterson Academy. Please leave me a review on the Culture Matters podcast.